Oh man, my freaking stream screen's all messed up. Who cares? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watchman is here with your latest update on Tropical Storm Nicholas. The 1 p.m. update is now saying that it remains at about 40 miles an hour. It's expected to strengthen as it moves north-northwestward over the western Gulf of Mexico. Here's the storm. All right. So again, it's taking up about half the Gulf of Mexico. So it's taking up quite a huge amount of real estate, so it's taking up a huge area. All right, so you can clearly see where this low-level center circulation's at right there. Once remaining at 45 or 40 miles an hour, excuse me, it is not strengthened any at all. 2 to 3 feet, I think, of storm surge is in fact expected in these areas. So if we go to surge, again, this is how high they're saying 2 to 4 feet. I mean, all the way down, Buffin Bay, Corpus Christi Bay, Aransas Bay, and San Antonio Bay, Matagorda Bay, even the Galveston Bay, all 2 to 4 foot storm surge is expected. So we're going to have to continue to carefully watch this. So, Tropical Storm Nicholas Intermediate Advisory number 1A, National Weather Service, Hurricane Center, Miami, Florida. Nicholas expected to strengthen as it moves over the northwest Gulf, northwestern over the western Gulf of Mexico. Slide her over here. Perfect. And so again, winds are about 45 miles an hour. Changes, there are no changes. Graphics, we can take a look at the graphics. These are the forecast cone. And watches and warnings too. So Mississippi, or Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas are all in the forecast. Oh yeah, and Mexico. Right there, all in the forecast cone of uncertainty. Very, very big cone. Not going to move a lot. Going to be a slow crawler. Could be even talking about even into Wednesday, even into Thursday, and possibly some heavy rain continuing into the Friday time period. So we're gonna really be watching the storm very closely and carefully as it continues to intensify. So yeah, there's the storm. You can really see lots of heavy rain bands for sure. As fast as it gets. That's not moving very fast. Does have quite a lot. So these are the this is the rain. The radar, so you can kind of see right towards the end, we are seeing quite more heavy rain making its way into the Texas area. Heavy rain is going to continue to increase. Rain possibilities are going to continue to increase. So, someone going to have to really watch for and be, very careful and diligent about what this storm does, what its intensity is going to be. But so you can see anything in the yellows is really getting a little heavy. Definitely the reds or the whites or the pinks. That's where it gets a little ugly. Very, very dangerous. Very, very intense and very, very heavy rain is going to definitely be a big possibility with this tropical storm as it approaches and gets closer. We're getting anything for Tropical Storm Nicholas here? I don't think so. Let's see. There we go. Here's Nicholas. Stuff is all here for Nicholas, so you can really see different radar. So this is the Brownsville, Texas radar. Get a little bit closer in, and you can really see a lot more heavy rain moving into moving in this area. If we zoom this in, this 200 frames, we'll really be able to see this a little bit better. So really kind of want to talk about the amount of heavy rain with this storm, because a lot of heavy rain is going to be possible. You can clearly see, you can kind of see it rotating down here a little bit. See if we can really see a little bit more rotation there, but There's lots of heavy rain moving into parts of northeastern Mexico and South Texas. So Texas is really going to be getting a lot of this heavy rain. Continuing, they're going to continue to see more heavy rain for sure. There's 50 frames. There's 130 frames. We'll get 200 frames, so it's okay. I don't really mind. We're gonna go back to missing bomb radar, down to Nicholas, wherever it's at, and then this also we can kind of see this area too. The Houston area, just the Houston, Texas radar, so you can really see some of these more heavier rain bands. Okay, at 148 here, so I also want to talk about the heavy rain in the Houston area, because Houston is also going to be seeing a lot of heavy rain from this. So already want to sort of show you all this, what we're looking at right here. Already a lot of heavy rain in this area, as you can see. Lots of heavy rain kind of moving in this general direction. Here was hours ago. We can really see the rain has really become more widespread, not just isolated, as this heavier rain kind of develops and moves closer towards the Texas coastline. So something we're really watching very closely and carefully. Very, very, something that could be serious and that we need to look out for sure. So again, here it is all the way down here to Brownsville. How fast does this thing actually get? It's actually pretty fast. You can really see, thankfully I am noticing some of this stuff is fizzling before it even approaches, but really along down here could be seeing more of that intense rain right here along the coast, like right on the beaches. That could certainly be a problem. The ocean heat content is there's also a lot of tropical cyclone heat potential, so there's still a lot of energy in the Gulf of Mexico because there have been very little to no storms here. If we look at the rain, we will have an idea of what we're looking at here with the rain. Again, we're seeing some of this rain here. Again, really talking about this rain making its way into the Texas, Mexico area. The rain bands are its storm is really big. It looks like even all the way out to Apalachicola, Florida, they're getting affected all the way here. So, throughout the day, we're going to start to see this cloud cover come farther inland and really start to see some more heavy rain. Heavier rain, I should say, move into the Houston area later today. More this an evening time period, in my opinion, is what I think we'll be looking at. I do think it's going to rain, but now they're saying no rain today, so we'll have to see about what actually happens. And it literally says it is cloudy outside, and I literally see the blue sky and sun. Okay, makes sense. So, very, very worried about, kind of seeing out here. We'll start to see some tornadoes, and Louisiana doesn't need any more rain, doesn't need any more problems, but unfortunately, tornadoes are going to be a possibility, unfortunately. So really going to be watching the storm very, very closely and very, very carefully as the storm continues to move inland. I'll be doing updates. Right now, the conditions aren't really anything super interesting, super impressive, or anything like that. Just some cloud cover outside. There's no strong winds. There's no gusty winds. There's no heavy rain. There's no flooding. There's no storm surge at this time. But get closer. I'll talk to my mom and see. She isn't 100% on board with going down to Galveston at the moment. To film some of the storm surge, but that could be subject to change. So, yeah. Heavy rain and flooding will be the biggest threat. Right now, I do think that there's a possibility of this becoming a hurricane, but we're really just gonna, we really don't really, we just have to see. We have to see when it takes off, how fast is it gonna take off. If it's gonna take off really quickly, if we're going from 40, 45, 50, 65, 75, it may just jump up the scale really quickly, then there's a possibility it becomes a hurricane. But if it's like 45, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, and then 75, then there's a lower chance. If it's just going up 5 increments, like every 6 hours or something, there's a much lower chance that this is going to become a hurricane. More like a moderate to a strong tropical storm. But right now, it's a very weak, low-end tropical storm with maximum sustained winds of, again, 45 miles an hour. Now, I do want to see if aircraft reconnaissance is going to go in there. And, well, they're still in that storm. They've been in the storm all day long. Well, they did see a maximum peak there at 40 knots, about 45 miles an hour. So they're actually, and then the air pressure actually dropped a lot. Looks like as low as 1,005 millibars. So that air pressure has dropped a lot too. So again, we're seeing 1,009, 1,009. So they've seen 1,007 millibars. So really gonna watch this carefully and closely too, because the storm's really gonna take shape very, very quickly, and that's what I'm afraid, that this one's just gonna kind of be kind of crazy. So watching the radar as more rain comes into the radar view. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns? Let me check. I might. 35 to 40 miles an hour, ready here to Houston. I think a 2. You said earlier no. What do you think will develop now? Aircraft for 4.5 to 6 hours. I certainly don't think it's going to be a 2. I don't think we could be, it depends. I mean, it isn't, here it is, 7 p.m., 7 a.m. This is a 12-hour window right here. It doesn't move a whole lot, and there's really warm waters. It's really hard to really say, oh, how strong is it actually going to become? And intensity isn't easy to think. So I think 75 to 80, but I mean, really a 90-mile-an-hour hurricane is really, in the window still. 100 miles an hour, we'll have to see. We have to see how fast this begins to developing. If it's just going up every 5 ticks every few hours, or 5 ticks every 6 hours, then there's not a lot of time for it to reach a category 2. But if we're doing 5 ticks every hour or every 3 hours, 45, 50. I mean, if we see like a 50 or 60 mile an hour tropical storm by tomorrow morning, I'm gonna be a little bit worried. Okay, because they are saying that by not tomorrow morning, but by Tuesday morning, we could be seeing landfall. If we're seeing a 60 mile an hour tropical storm tomorrow morning, then I think we could be dealing with then I do think we could be dealing with some kind of some type of a hurricane for sure, maybe even a category 2. We'll just have to really watch and see how strong this gets. Now we don't know. We have to be very, very careful and be very diligent and just sort of really watch of how fast it develops. So that's one of the things. It's really hard to know how fast these storms develop. Something we have to watch for and be very, very careful of. So I'm gonna go and check up on the chat and see if anyone wants to make any comments, questions, or concerns. Yes. So yeah. Once again, it depends on how fast it develops. Development, and how fast it's moving. Now, however, there will still be storm surge. We're still thinking, 2 to 4 feet is possible. Parts of Texas area could be dealing with heavy rain. It's going to be a huge problem and a huge threat. And that's something I'm a little bit worried about. Some very, very heavy amounts of rain are very, very possible with this storm. So I do want to look at the rainfall forecast. So here's the rainfall forecast. A majority of the heavy rain does seem to be offshore or over Louisiana. It sort of looks like it kind of comes in like this, not in like this. So I kind of think it looks like the rain is focused too far south. But for majority of Houston, they're only saying 1 to 4 inches is possible in some of these areas. If you're north of Houston, you mainly see 1 or 2 inches of rain. We'll have to really watch this and see. In terms of the flash flooding potential, not very much. Only a slight, but I think through time, as we get a better idea of where this is going to go, how much rain this is going to produce, I think that's going to go up to moderate and possibly even high possibilities of heavy rain. Peak storm surge, we're seeing 2 to 4 feet. So storm surge is going to be possible all the way from the mouth of the Rio Grande all the way to High Island. And depending on how big and how strong this gets, the storm surge could go all the way to Louisiana, like Lake Charles, or even the Texas Louisiana state line. That's also something I'm worried about, a storm surge. Troublesome conditions are expected along portions of the northeastern coast of Mexico and the coast of South Texas beginning on Monday. Nicholas' forecast will approach the middle Texas coast as a strong tropical storm on Tuesday, and tropical storm conditions are possible along portions of the middle and upper Texas coast late Monday and Tuesday. There is a possibility of life-threatening storm surge along the coast of Texas from the mouth of the Rio Grande to High Island. Residents in these areas should follow any advice given by local officials. And periods of heavy rainfall are expected to impact portions of the Texas and Louisiana coast today through the middle next of the week. Significant rain amounts are possible, potentially resulting in areas of flash, urban, and isolated river flooding. So flooding is certainly going to be a big problem. So tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, we're going to have to watch that. Again, Houston looks like, a 40 to a 50% chance, maybe 40, 50%, a 50-50 chance of tropical storm force winds. 50-knot wind speed probabilities are literally 5 to 10%. And so far, hurricane force wind speed probabilities are at 0% right now. So these are the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds. They're saying Monday evening. I think it's going to be a lot later. I think it's more like Tuesday, sometime during the Tuesday time period, in my opinion, is what I think. And with, we don't need that. Here's an idea of the tropical storm force wind field. You can kind of see it still looks a little sheer to the north and to the east. Or, the tropical storm force wind field is to the north and to the east. Tropical storm warnings from Mexico all the way up to South Texas, and then tropical storm watches up the Texas coastline. There is a a storm surge watch is in effect. There's no storm surge warning. This is a storm surge watch all the way from Brownsville, all the way up the Texas coast, and even into the Galveston area. So, closely monitoring that and watching how intense we're going to be, how much we're going to be dealing with. So, again, here is the. Oh my God! No, this is so dumb. Here is the tropical storm. Here we can look at the high resolution. Here you can really see the rotation with the storm too. Flooding not good. Yeah, flooding is going to be a problem, and I'm worried about that. I really am really worried about the flooding. Tropical storm Nicholas. This is going to be something serious. No big changes. So pretty much the same thing as last time. I like to keep these about 15-20 minutes. Here's a little update. Here's what you need to know. And I like to keep it there. So what you need to know is going to be flooding. There's going to be isolated tornadoes. 2 to 4 foot storm surge is possible with tropical storm Nicholas. And heavy rainfall is going to be possible, and isolated tornadoes are also going to be possible. The stronger this gets, the higher chance of tornado, the bigger the chance and possibilities of tornadoes there will be. So. Yeah, probably going to end it there. This is just, we got quite some time. This is going to be a long track storm, and we will closely monitor and see how bad this storm really gets. Again, tropical storm, could even be dealing with a hurricane. Really isn't impossible. So, I'm really worried about it. We're going to see what it does, how strong is it going to get, and yeah, we'll be talking about, I'll be, giving you the latest updates. And with all that being said, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to go in the chat below and comment your questions. But with all that being said, I'm probably going to end it off here in the next several minutes because I don't like to keep these going forever. Tornadoes, okay, thank you for the update. Yes, that's the it for today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I'll talk to you guys later this afternoon at about, wow, I've actually gotten a lot of views on my last stream, 64 views, 75 views. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, that's it for today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your morning or afternoon, and I'll talk to you guys later this afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Time. And that's about 2100 ETC. So, talk to you guys then. Peace out.